May profits be upon you. Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast. We're going to take a look at the upcoming economic calendar for the upcoming week. I'm sorry. Let's take a look. Lots of just lots of red folder news all week. All right. Now we have very important news. NFP, that's non-farm employment change, coming up on Friday. All right. Usually you start to see markets start to do some funkiness a day or two ahead of this kind of news. These are the high impact news that I'm talking about. Non-farm payroll, FOMC, CPI data, and the interest rate decisions. Those are the kind of those are the kind of news that can reverse a market. So you want to be extra careful when you're trading on those days. You want to wait until after the news. That's what I highly recommend. Also, just remember that the day before news of interest rates, like the ECB is about to give interest rates on Thursday for the euro. All right. The day before, you'll probably see some consolidation. You'll probably see some funny business, some funky price action, especially before NFP. They want to wait. Markets want to wait until the big news hits, and then traders can do their thing. The trends will reset or set themselves or whatever, and you can start to see the price action play out. So just be careful for those things. Now, let me take a sip of water, will you please? Oh yeah. All right. Now we're going to start with the US dollar index. All right. On the monthly, what can we see right off the bizac, right off the back? Last month ended in this big old nasty candle here. Why is it nasty? Because it took the low, it swept the low of the previous month, but then closed within the range of that previous monthly candle range. All right, what does that usually indicate? It's a bullish indication. All right, we swept the low, and price has obviously more business to take care of at higher prices. That's why it didn't trade through. It didn't run that low. It actually swept the low and then pulled up. So this wick is filled with bullish fair value gaps on lower time frames, and you're going to see support for higher prices when we go down to the lower time frames. But right now, the indication is it looks bullish, right? And then you can see that last week's candle was a very strong bullish candle. That's an institutional candle there, and it closed well above the previous high and engulfed both the low and the high. This is a very bullish indication. All right, and we can expect the next candle to form the next candle that forms to continue with this bullish momentum. All right, I got my eye on this area here. Why? Let's go down to the daily. We can see that we have a bullish fair value gap that was developed. All right, this is the stuff I was talking about on the monthly time frame. All right, and price could use this uh, the the bullish fair value gap. It could come back, tap it to get higher, to see higher prices. This is part of what I call the structure that's being put in place for prices to go higher. Higher towards what? Well, there is a target up here for liquidity, and we do have this area of supply here, right? We do have an area of supply here. All right. I'm not putting a whole lot of emphasis on it because it was, you see, price pushed higher, pulled down, all right, and never pulled down below the previous swing low, and never pulled up higher than the swing high. So this in between area of fair value, or this area of supply, is For me, it doesn't ring as strong. There is no liquidity on the move from it, the move down from it. Usually that means the area itself becomes liquidity, and for me, that this would signal a this being a this high being a target. Okay, and let's put that there. Okay, so I'm looking at that high as the draw on liquidity. I'm definitely looking for higher prices. We'll see if price develops more uh, bullish fair value gaps, because uh, you want to see a bullish fair value gap feed and form another bullish fair value gap. So I'm looking for price to push higher. All right. Now, if I am bullish in the US dollar, then you know what I am on the euro, because it is the inverse of the US dollar index. All right. And you can see on the daily, all right, yeah, price got real choppy. Came down and came back up, came down, came back up. It's choppy in here. All right. But what can we see? We can see that there was an expansion candle here, and then on Friday we formed this candle. This doji looking candle here helped to form this bearish fair value gap. And what can we expect from a bearish fair gap? Bearish fair value gap. We can expect price to push up and then seek lower prices from. That's what tends to happen. All right. Now, what are we pushing down into? Do we have a lot of support? As far as blocks. To the bullish defense. To send prices higher. Actually, It's not that strong. All right. Yeah, we had this area here. So I got it. We had this area here that supposedly had pushed higher. The problem is it didn't make a new high. All right. This low did not make a new high. All right. Yeah, it swept some liquidity here, but price started to chop before it took that high out. And then we see price uh, uh, making a market structure shift to the downside. I'm looking for price to push back up and to continue down. All right. Towards this low. Now, once it gets here, if it gets there, all right, then that would expose this low and this low, all right, and I, I'm we could see price thrash about without it having to take those lows, because I think price will eventually start to pull back up, and when it takes this low, I'm going to look for are we going to see price push back up? But right now, it's downward. That's what I'm looking for. Some bearish price action, pull back up and then back down. All right. If we look at the pound dollar is stronger than the euro. Pound dollar is stronger than the euro. All right. So this isn't the one, even though, now, bear in mind, both of them correlate positively. Okay. So if whichever one is weaker, that's the one I want to take that short in. You understand? Whichever one is stronger, that's the one I want to take the long in. I don't want to take longs in both or shorts in both. You understand? So because the pound is stronger, I'm not as inclined to take shorts in it before I look at the euro. Just and we'll look at the other majors, but you can see that there was some downward price action, right? And then we started to get the sideways, this consolidation, then price pushed higher, all right, into this larger area of fair value, all right? But along the way, you can see we have bullish fair value gap here, all right? Price is pushing back into that. This is on a daily now, all right? And do I want to mess with that? Do I want to mess around with that? No, I do not. All right. Price could use that. We'll have trouble if we have a stronger U.S. dollar. We can't have a stronger pound. All right. It would drag the pound down or give it some trouble. All right. Pushing higher. You understand? It'll probably struggle here. All right. probably move to the side, move sideways. So I'm not interested as much as taking longs here. All right, we'll see how price goes, but we're looking at a stronger dollar for at least for this week until NFP, and I'd rather look at other strong pairs. There's a weekly fair value gap in there, and then right below that there's a bullish fair value gap, and this is saying that it may have a tendency to want to go higher, and that's going against what we know about the dollar index, right? If we look at the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar, they're singing the right song. They're on the same sheet of music. All right, you can see price has been very bearish. We chopped up, we swang, took the liquidity and pushed higher into a monthly fair value gap. Now, let's take a look at that monthly fair value gap. That's a bearish one. All right. And we can see how price tapped into it. And you see the sellers stepped in and gave that big respect wick. I'm looking for prices to head down at least down into this the midpoint of this wick. And that's going to be a minute. We got a couple of candles before it does that, right? On the monthly, it's looking bearish. On the weekly, you can see that last week it's very bearish. It closed lower than the last couple of weeks, and this is a bearish indication, and it's turned bearish at the monthly fair value gap. All right, if we go to the daily, we're looking at more fair value gaps. We got a daily fair value gap right here from the bearish reaction to this bearish fair value gap. So I'm looking for prices to go lower. Yeah. All right. That's what I'm looking for. So more of that. Bam, boom, down to we can target a couple of areas. This low here first, and then as far as a draw on liquidity, and then this low here. If we look at the New Zealand dollar, it's the exact same dynamic happening. All right, except this one is moving even better. Why? Because look here, you see it's almost non-existent fair value, a bullish fair value gap here. It's just been a nice drop. All right, we had a bullish fair value gap here. Price used it to go higher, and then we disrespected. We have a market structure shift very clear. So I'm looking for prices to go lower here. But if you look at the Aussie dollar, you can see there was a bigger fair value gap here. All right, and then there was a slight one there, but price did move higher. What we want to see is a smooth ride. All right, and we have bearish fair value gaps that developed here. We can get rid of that. And if I'm going to take a short, see the CISD here. All right, if we're going to take a short, I want to take the short in the New Zealand dollar. It's just got a smoother ride. I'm looking for price to push up and push down past this low. And I'll be looking at this as my draw on liquidity, and ultimately down to this low here. Okay, I've been wanting that for a while, matter of fact, but y'all been watching my videos. Okay, so all right, if we look at the CAD, if we look at last week's candle, you can see how it engulfed the previous 2 weeks. All right, and we don't have any bullish fair value gaps in here to slow down price from going down lower. I like lower prices. For this one as well. All right, yeah, there is a big gap down here that pushed up, so this kind of forms a area of demand, but what we're looking at is the development of fair value gaps here that price could use to come down. Yeah, we'll probably have a reaction once we get here. We'll probably have a reaction. God dog it. We'll probably have a reaction here. All right. And price could do something like that. But it'll probably be going into a bearish fair value gap. So we can seek lower prices. Again, it's the US dollar that's gaining strength, and it'll probably drag this price down. Okay. If we look at Swiss francs, same deal, right? Down, some consolidation up into what? This area here. What is this? This is the breakout area. All right, that price used to break out. We go back to the breakout and test it so that we can see prices go lower. Yeah. So I don't know what just happened. All right. So on a weekly basis, price went up, swept that high, and you see how there's hardly any wick there. We're probably going to get lower, and I'm looking for price to break these lows. Break these lows. I'm looking for price to come to the bottom of this consolidation and seek this low and this low here. If we look at the just a peek at the monthly, we can see it took the high, it swept the high here, and it swept the low. All right, and there was a gap down. It took the low first, then took the high, and then you see the sellers step back in. I'm looking for this to continue the momentum to the downside. All right, and let's go to the Japanese yen. All right, this is yen futures now. Understand what we're looking at here. Down, up, down. All right, now this is the monthly time frame. You can see last 2 months we've seen a resurgence. Why? Just check out their economic profile. The Japanese government have been busy, and they are getting it together over there on a bunch of different metrics. So we see a push up, a pullback, and then a push up, another pullback into this area of demand. I'm looking for price to continue this push. US dollar, well, in these kind of conditions, the US dollar doesn't outperform the Japanese yen. When there's uncertainty in the world, the Japanese yen is the number one safe haven to run to, not the US dollar. The US dollar is a safe haven of the world, yes, but the Japanese yen, I don't know why. I'm not an economist, but for some reason, the Japanese yen in these kind of conditions, when there's inflation and deflation and the specter of uncertainty, the Japanese yen tends to outperform the US dollar. So I am looking for prices to continue higher from this area here. If we go to the week, the daily, we can see it a little clearer. All right, there was an area of fair value here, and we pushed up higher. This is the area of fair value. Price goes away, comes back, and I'm looking for this to push the price higher. All right, there is a fair value gap in here. You can see, if I can just get it together with these notations. All right, you can see this is a daily fair value gap here. All right, I don't know why this one is here. All right, there's a daily fair value gap here that so far is respecting, and I'm looking for price to continue maybe 2 more candles to start pushing up higher towards this high. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you missed anything, if you didn't understand about the futures, when you trade the futures, when you trade the pound, the Aussie dollar, the New Zealand dollar, on the spot, you pay when you trade the majors on the spot, you are trading against the US dollar. All right, US dollar Swiss, US dollar Japanese yen, and US dollar CAD are the FX brokers version. All right, you're looking. What I did was I went over the futures version. Okay, so I hope you You get what I just said. Anyway, may profits be upon you. I'll see you in the next video.